Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say at the beginning of every single podcast, it's a purely selfish reason why I film this podcast, because I get to speak to inspirational people. And today, I'm so excited to have Stephen Kinsella on the show. How are you, my lovely?
I'm good, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Good. So I've been on your podcast. Now it's your turn to be on that for me to grill you.
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this. So you are a lighthouse to so many teenagers. In a nutshell, just tell my listeners exactly what you do for those teenagers.
So it all started off as coaching kids for fitness and strength and conditioning, and then I used to always say it's the best generation. And I quickly realized that it's not only making them physically fit, it's a mindset as well. So we've been working and developing for the last few years on Edge, which is giving kids the right tools to help them overcome, just to excel, to be better, to not just accept the norm. And pretty much, like I keep saying, I always say, is like if I can leave anything when I leave this planet, it's to help build a stronger generation. So that's the goal, and we're here in Ireland in Wicklow, and we're doing it here, and the goal is to like kind of reach as many people as possible throughout the world.
That is absolutely amazing, because I think teenagers and children need somebody like you, because the world is, we spoke about it on our podcast, the world is so busy and hectic that I actually think younger people, even though life seems to be easier, that everything's more reachable, I actually believe life's harder for that
Yeah,
generation.
and I believe like the way I'd look at it is that because we've made their life so much convenient, and we didn't do it intentionally. We always wanted what's best, and we don't want our children to have any adversity or to be bullied or to have what we didn't have, kind of thing. But we've let them down because we've tried to avoid them struggling so much that they don't know how to struggle, and we see this with anxiety, depression, obesity, all the things that are now prevalent, even though they have more than they've ever had in any other generation, now they struggle more because they've never had the adversity that was either built into us. Now, we're not talking like we want people to recession times, but we can build in controlled adversity to our kids and teens and help them understand that, yeah, life is hard and life's going to be tough. And you have to accept this. People want them to have just only the happy emotion, only the good emotions,
Yeah.
and you want to protect your kid. And I get that, but they have to understand setbacks. They have to understand someone not liking them. They have to understand that they fail and that they learn, and they're not good at something, and it's just something that they could be very passionate about. Just is never going to be their thing, and they have to have those little micro setbacks growing up. So when they hit the real world, they understand, like they're prepared for it. So if we protect them all the way, and then they go into the real world, the first setback can cripple them, and that's what's happening. It's crippling them. It's putting them into depression. Don't leave their house. They have anxiety. They don't want to do anything because they're afraid they'll fail.
Yeah.
And that's probably like like you and me both know, some of the best things in life have come out of some of the worst situations that we've had to enter.
Absolutely. I mean, my big thing is, schools. I'm not knocking schools, but I believe they could do a lot more, because schools are designed to just push you through exams to do all right, but it doesn't teach anybody how to deal with if this goes wrong, or if you, I don't like the word, but if you fail at something, like nobody's taught at that young age how to deal with things going wrong.
Yeah.
And it's quite cruel, really, if you think about it.
Well, you're setting them up for something much worse. It wouldn't even be worse if you had those things happen, as you like as a kid or a teen. But if you're literally preparing them for, oh, you see, you don't like the word, but you're preparing for that big setback, that big fail that is going to happen, because no matter who you are, who your parents are, life at some point is going to punch you in the nose, and you're going to have to either deal with it, move forward, or retract and become reclusive and never want to put yourself in that situation. But all of that energy that you're going to waste thinking about the thing that hasn't happened because you're nervous or you're scared or you're afraid, that's some of the best parts of life, in my opinion. Like some of the best things I've ever done, starting a business, um, getting married, having kids, all the scary things in life have been amazing. In the
Yeah,
end, not well, not all of them, but like most of them, it's like, yeah, I'm really glad I made that chance. I'm really glad I took that opportunity, and even I'm really glad I got to learn from that situation, even though it was a bad situation.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. So do you do things like goal setting with the teenagers as well and things like that?
Yeah, so we set goals twice a year with our teens in the gym, and in January we're gonna kind of go just kind of work with teens just on the mindset side of things only, and kind of reach out, try and branch out to more teens. But like even we had a goals meeting this week, and we sat down and I said, right, who at the start of the summer wanted to increase their 5K run? And five of the girls put their hands up, and I said, well, how did that go? And they were like, it didn't. And I was like, why didn't it go? And they gave me every excuse. It wasn't important. That was a goal you thought that was a goal you wanted to achieve, but it wasn't important enough to you to achieve.
Yeah.
So we and people set goals, and adults are the same, based off the what they think I want to hear, or their teacher wants to hear, or their parents want to hear. And it's not a goal that they really want. Because I know, like, most of those, like, I see half of those girls have absolutely no interest in running whatsoever. They hate it. And it's not, like, I understand why people hate running. But at that point, it's like, you need to, and sorry, response was, you need to understand that when you set a goal, it has to be a goal for you and it has to be an anchor on it. So you're willing to do it. If you say, I want to get faster 5K, that's great. But you really want, you like the goal or do you actually want to put the work in? And that's not, I think it's a Jimmy Carr saying everyone wants to, what is it? Everyone wants the success, but no one wants to work to
Yeah.
get there, you know? And I think I butchered that, but like no one wants to do the hard work, they just want the reward. But unfortunately, that hard work is what we have to do. And
Yeah.
if your goal does not align with hard work, then it's most likely not going to be an achievable goal.
Yeah, it's interesting because adults tend to set goals on what society thinks should
Hmm.
be doing or what other people are doing. I bet that's worse with teenagers with peer groups in society. Do you
Yeah,
see that more with teenagers?
teenagers will fall in line a lot quicker. So if I say, "Oh, what's your goal?" and they go, "I want to get stronger," and the rest of the group will automatically go, "Yeah, I want to get stronger." I was like, "What's stronger in what?" I want to lift more weight, or I want to be more confident in or it doesn't matter what it is. But like, if I have a room of 20 teens or 30 teenagers, even kids, once I get one or two responses, the rest will fall in line just to match up. Even though, like, I know these kids have worked with for years. I know that they're not giving me the proper response. They just don't want to be outside of the norm. They
Yeah,
want to say, I want to have more confidence in myself because happy with who I am. No, they're not going to say that. They need to take a very strong or naive person to say that because it will put them outside the circle of what everyone else is saying. And as teenagers, they're naturally they need their tribe more. You know, as we get older, we kind of like we don't really just because we grew up together, we went to school together, doesn't mean we have an awful lot in common and we don't hang around anymore. But teenagers need that kind of tribe. It's natural to want to fit in. And then we're on the other side saying, I don't want you to fit in. I want you to be authentic you, and people will find you because of that. But it's a long game. It's a long goal, and a lot of people they don't have enough foresight to understand that, like, yeah, no, I just want friends, and they're willing to do an awful lot. When we see it with kids hanging around with the wrong kids, just to be a part of the group, and they could be the one that gets picked on all the time, but they're still in that group, and no one else can pick on them except for their friends. and they're very unhappy and becoming very shy and very docile type of people, and it's not who they really want to be. So we're trying to show them that there is a way out, and how we do that is firstly the low hanging fruit is physical fitness. And after that is like we ask really good questions.
Yeah, and the power of why. Yeah, that's all. People get sick of me asking that. It's just like, why? Why do you want that? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it is, you get to the point. If you keep asking questions like, why do you want to do that? Why is that important to you? What will happen if you don't get there? And then you can see the brain. I think with teens, you kind of have to ask them 3 or 4 times in different ways, and then you can see the cogs turning. But we do an interesting one. We did some questions. We don't do very in-depth stuff with the kids, but we just throw a question like, what's your what's your biggest fear as you get older? And out of, I think it was like 14 kids that day, 9 said dying,
mm,
which is normal. I
yeah,
remember when I first started having the concept of death, and I sat there. My other coach was asking the questions, and I said, "What's the one thing we all have in common?" And
yeah,
then it took a while, so it was, well, we're all going to die. I said, we're all going to die, and it's not fun, it's not nice, but it's an inevitability. So it's the one thing. Well, all we can do now is focus on how good we want to live
yeah,
and be good to the people around us. And you know that at some point I'll be gone, and then at some point Coach Circle will be gone, and then at some point some of you, and it will all eventually be gone. And you could see on a lot of their faces, it's like, oh, it's not that bad then.
yeah,
Because when you think of death, you only think of you.
mm, yeah,
When your fear of dying is about you. And then you realize that it's just part of life. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
the end of it. It's just part of it. Then he freaked out. He freaked out for a very long time about that.
yeah, yeah. Do you know
When
what
I was young,
that
I
is?
remember.
Yeah. Do you know what? Now you've said that, yeah, I had the same when I was about 9 or 10. I would have said exactly the same.
It's perfectly normal because then it's like you're like, okay, I'm not going to last forever.
Yeah,
Because
it's
when you're
probably worse because these kids have grown up with COVID times.
yeah, always I've seen a lot of so much angst over the fact of COVID, and they're now using COVID as the reason why they can't do anything. Uh,
Mm,
Again, I like, okay, I understand you went through a tough time. At times, no teen your age or kid your age has gone through in the last few generations. But are you going to allow that to be your defining moment that stopped you, or is it going to be the thing that's going to allow you? I got through COVID. So
yeah,
it's I suppose, and like you do the same. It's like changing the language to make them see it from a point of view as like, no, this could be a positive. So, and that the question is, that we always ask, and I love this because it's one of my favorite. So, how can you turn that into a positive, and what will you do about it now?
yeah,
And then again, you start think this because we naturally think negative because it's survival. It's
yeah, yeah,
don't do this or let's be wary of that. But how can we turn the worst situation that you've experienced so far in your life into a positive? What have we learned from it? How can we do better? How can we use it to propel us forward? And then they start thinking on a different wavelength. And then it's like, oh yeah, well maybe I can do this. Maybe
yeah,
I can get through school. Maybe I can start a new sport or have new friends or just kind of opening up their mind to the option of possibility versus I now have all of this because of COVID versus what positives can we take from it? And it's just it's just a language thing. If we can change the language and ask the why questions,
yeah, yeah,
you think we could help. And this could be something that could be taught in schools. I know it won't be as much as I'd love to be, but it could be something that like that and physical fitness. schools on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, where you sit down, you have a Q&A with all different topics of life and allow
Yeah,
them to figure it out, allow them to be frustrated, allow them to be angry, allow them to see the positive, see the negative. And then you, if you prepare kids, if you arm them with all the questions when stuff goes wrong, how to ask those questions to themselves, they'll be a next level generation. They'll be a stronger, and they'll be able to help each other, which is even, we
yeah,
might use all the issues that we currently have with our kids and teens and young adults.
yeah, absolutely. It's I'm glad you said that about like reframing it, and especially around COVID, because as like like once the fear sets in, the amygdala loves to take over. So you're fearing one thing, and then a few years later, you're fearing everything, and anxiety and worry grows massively.
Mm.
So I think catching people at a younger age who were going through COVID and transforming how they're looking at it is absolutely key. Because I think if we're not careful, like a few years down the line, we're going to see a bit of, well, we're already starting to see mental health rising. And I think there will be a big stem from that because, the fears took over.
Yeah, and I think part of it, I don't know how big this would be. Maybe you might have a bigger insight into it. Is I'm not sure, but do a lot of the deep like they suffer from this angst or anxiety or a depression. They think it's just them. They don't understand a lot of people. So they're not the only one. Capable, and I think you kids that overcome this, be the speakers. I did it. You can do it too. Like you see it all the time with the likes of and I'll go extreme, like the likes of David Goggins. He's done crazy stuff. Like the guy that ran Africa. That's mad. That guy that ran the length of Africa inspired how many people to run a mile.
Yeah, yeah,
So if he can do that, I can get up out of bed and go to school tomorrow.
yeah,
They're the inspirations. And if we have more teenagers and young adults be those inspirations, then it will pull the rest along. And then it makes people feel it's okay to feel the way I'm feeling. Oh, I don't want to feel like this anymore, so I can take the actions or get the help to get me out of this.
yeah,
Versus it seems to be the common theme is, oh, they're depressed, so we don't get them to do anything. Oh, they're suffering from anxiety, so we don't approach the subject anymore because we don't want to make them feel more uncomfortable. The only way to get out of it is to feel a little bit more uncomfortable, but in a different way. And I think a little bit of that adversity can go a long way for kids to start resilience, those little levels of resilience. And they can overcome everything. Everything that you can beat everything if you have the right tools. You have the right people
yeah,
supporting you as well.
yeah, yeah. What is your thoughts about peer groups? Because I do believe that you need to put yourself around the right people. From a neuroscience point of view, our mirror neurons are great things, but they also can be your biggest downfall if you're around the wrong people. So, what do you say to teenagers that are possibly in a peer group that's not that healthy for them? Because it happens all the time.
All the time. I've been in one.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. I know a lot of I know people that would be close to me that are currently in, we would say, negative peer group. And I know they don't want to be there, but comfortable. Even
Mm-hmm.
though being comfortable means they feel very socially awkward, but they're part of a group. Um, I'd say it is harder because teens want to be associated with the same, like they want to fit in, they want to feel welcomed and part of the team or the group. But yeah, find people like in this day and age when we're growing up with no social media, you want to know where you live.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you can find a peer group for literally Christmas jackets. Do you love Christmas jackets? I love Christmas jackets. Let's start a group. Find people, and you'll have Christmas jacket meetups. Like I know that's so random, but you can do it. It's showing kids that it's okay to be. Well, it's very hard to leave a friend group
Yeah, it
as
is.
the automatic response is something wrong with me, not them.
Yeah.
And obviously, as teenagers, down like things and doing like I wouldn't go as far as bullying, but I'm sure that happens as well. So, and then there's that period of be on your own until you find your group.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it could be too long for a teenager to make that decision unless they have the right support, people, like friends. Ideally, you only want your kid. Like I only want. I've two kids. I only want them hanging around with really good, influential, motivated people. But my son has one or two friends that are just little
Yeah. Yeah.
kids, right? They could turn out to be really nice as they grow up. Right now, I'm like, they're not really the best influence on my child.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to be that parent that goes up and goes, "You're not hanging around with my child,"
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my son has to learn those lessons a little bit as well. And they're really hard. That's a really hard question because yeah, everyone would want their kid to hang around with people that will only help motivate them and push them forward. But I suppose at the same time, they need to in their lives the oxymoron, I suppose, where they need that kid to teach them things are done badly and how
Yeah.
not to do it. So it's like at my age, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
It's just I don't need to waste my time and energy, and I won't waste my time and energy. But I think that only comes with having experienced the negative side of having people in a group you just didn't like but you tolerated, or things that went wrong that way. That's yeah. Actually, I don't really have a proper answer for that because I think you kind of need part of it.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to experience things that you don't want to realize actually what you do want in life. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
I think you have to experience it all. Now,
it's
with
like
you saying,
that. Sorry, it's
go
like
on.
that thing of how, why why would you want to have the feeling of a breakup?
Mm,
Because then you understand what love was.
yeah, yeah,
That's a horrible thing to have. Like
yeah,
breaking
yeah,
up or someone like leaving you, or you broke up with your girlfriend, your boyfriend as a teenager, and like obviously as a teenager, your emotions are tenfold, and it's like the worst thing in the world. But then eventually you do get over it. That experience allows you to understand what love was.
yeah,
So then you know what you're then kind of looking to. You're looking for long term. So
yeah, absolutely.
you don't want your kids to, you don't want teens to have to go through a lot of this stuff, but they have to go through versions of it so they can learn because it's the only way we learn. It's those experiences, and yeah, it's a very hard one to navigate. I suppose the only thing you could do is just again arm them with the questions, arm them with the ideas and the thoughts, and like-minded people as much as you can.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, it will pan out at some point for them.
yeah, absolutely. Now, you said about Christmas jackets. Do you own a Christmas jacket?
1 second. It literally just arrived
Oh
today.
wow, wow, yes.
So yeah, so we do Christmas cards every year for the gym. All coaches up and so all we're doing a Frank Sinatra what are they called? The Red Pack kind of vibe. So we'll have Christmas jackets and we'll wear suits and we'll get the photos all done. So yeah, they only arrived today. That's why I say Christmas jackets because I was like, oh, yeah,
Christmas
Christmas
jacket.
jacket.
Do you know
Yeah.
what? I knew there was a visual prompt there because it was that random. I thought he's not just come out with that.
I'm a weirdo of like all these Christmas jackets at home.
That's amazing. Right, you touched on social media as a good thing there, like being able to find a peer group and that.
Yeah.
Social media does get a lot of stick for being possibly the worst thing in the world for people like comparison wise and keyboard warriors and things like that. Are you seeing a lot of that in the children and teenage world?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some really sensible kids that I work with that just they have no interest in social media to a point. But we have seen a lot, and they get caught up in body beautiful. They get caught up in you need to have this, you need to be this cool or have all these. I don't necessarily think social media is bad. I would say educating your kid on social media is the key. Better education for it. Yes, there's access to things they probably shouldn't be seeing at that
Yeah.
age. Um, but if like like I don't know if you've done it, but I definitely have done more than I need, more than I
Hmm.
need. Um,
Yeah.
of looking at things and watching things, and then your brain starts wandering around. So, like, there's a positive. Obviously, it's a connection, and it can be a very positive connection, or it can be a negative connection. I think for a lot of, like, I suppose for a lot of teenagers, they're spending like one of our junior coaches is like, "Oh, I spent only 5.5 hours on my phone the other day," and I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "That's come down." I was like, "That's." We worked that out. Like, it's on average, kids are losing between 2 to 3 months a year on their phone
Yeah.
based
It's
off the
shocking.
health.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where, ADHD is a big thing at the minute and has been for a while. You only have to go on TikTok and you can diagnose yourself within
Yeah,
minutes. And people are saying, I like can't focus, my child can't focus. I'm not blaming social media as a whole. I'm blaming the modern world as a whole because obviously we
yeah,
aren't designed for that. But I do think where phones are concerned, I pick mine up without even realizing and start scrolling. And it's something that with Ben that I worry about as well, like limiting, like we're showing our brain how to use dopamine in the wrong way.
yeah.
So focusing becomes a real big issue. But wow, 5.5 hours.
The average of the thing is between 5 and 8 hours a day. And I've spoken to teens about this, like, what time do you go to bed? And go when well we go I go might go up at 10, but they'll say wait till 12. So what do you do till 12 o'clock? Because I'll go on my phone. What's so important between 10 and 12? If you're asleep by 10:30, you're getting quality sleep. Your body's going to recover. You're going to be stronger. You're going to perform. Your brain will feel better. You'll educate you. Like, you'll learn better at school. And a lot of it is the fear of missing out as well.
Yeah.
Um, like, like it's it's that age old thing is negative, and it is addictive. How like it's designed to be addictive. Like, it
Yes,
is
it's
like specifically designed to hook you and keep you on as long as possible because that's how they make all their money. Partly how they make their money. Um, but it's an educational thing. Like, what is it? I think it's like if you take your phone away for the first while, I think 3 to 4 days, you'll feel for it. And
mm,
after that, brain just resets back to what it's meant to. Because, like you said, our brains are not wired designed to
no,
have that much stimulation. Literally, if you're not doing anything that's taking your mind, like you're in school, you're in work, you're doing whatever you're doing, and all of those things that you do on a daily basis, and you're on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, so your brain never actually gets a rest. So
no,
that has to be hormonally exhausting for your system just to try and keep up. And then you wonder why you're exhausted, why you're more anxious, because nothing's working correctly in your body. Not
yeah,
getting for downtime.
yeah. That's what it is. I think, obviously there are people that diagnose ADHD and rightly so, but a lot of people at the minute, like, and adults as well, I can't focus, there must be something wrong. No, it's that, we are not designed to be like this, like
Yeah.
constantly in information and things like that. So let's strip it back and start again.
Yeah.
Uh, and phone, I mean, if you think about it, on your iPhone or Android, whatever you've got, you can literally do everything within
Yeah.
seconds. Like, it's the go-to thing.
Exactly. Like, I can do most of my job if I wanted to from my phone. Um, like one of the other things I like, and as you mentioned, like ADHD and stuff like that. If we can get kids to see it from a different point of view and work offline more, interact more. It's that whole thing is like you gifted a child a phone, you gifted them access to the internet, and you can't give out that they get hooked on something. It's like people only smoke. So
Yeah,
people smoking break, that 15, I need the 15-minute break, and they inhale it, and then it's all like, even though
yeah,
they know that they're consuming something that's literally hurting their body, it's breaking their body down. 15, that smoke break was the thing that literally made them get through the rest of the day. And for some of them, it's
yeah,
go into a world where, and now with all this AI stuff, they're chatting to people. Like there was that kid in America who fell in love with an AI bot and ended up committing suicide.
yeah. It's just nuts.
It's like it can be so, it can go so wrong. And then you've got all sorts of briefs that are on the internet as well that pretend to be whoever. But we live in a society that's constantly stimulated. We're not,
Yeah,
like as you said, we're not designed to be stimulated. Like, our brains are not designed for that. And then we wonder why we overanalyze, and then we sit deer in headlights. Like we see teens and go, "Hey, we're going to do a competition, or we're going to the jump zone, or we're going to for teens dinner." And there's teens like, do we have to?" They want to, afraid of, what if I say something so funny? What if I'm awkward? What if people don't talk to me? And all these things because they're so into a reality that's not real. Sorry, a phone that's not giving them the real reality. That then if they're not perfect, that's not trying like live in the real world, and then they'll just go back straight into their phones. And we see this anytime people go on a bus, anywhere, everyone else as well. All
yeah,
around.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and I'm on my phone the worst when I am overstressed and I haven't planned and I haven't got structure to my week. And I know that my phone usage goes up. When I'm planned, something was happening on a day-to-day basis. I get home, I don't have to turn on my phone. I'm on my phone. If I'm not planned and I haven't done what I said I do, then I will escape to my phone as no one's giving out to me. No one's talking back to me on my phone. I can just watch the world go by and then lose myself for an hour or two. For some people, it's as close to taking drugs, I suppose, as you're going to get.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. I mean, your phone is, it's linked to dopamine, so it's considered an addiction, just like anything else, like drugs, alcohol, gambling. It's still, kind of interfering with your dopamine. A big thing at the minute is, and you find this with adults as well. It's not just children, but people have lost the ability to be bored. So
Yes.
boredom actually creates creativity. Like if you're bored, then that's where you tend to find people are most creative.
Yeah.
But we live in a world that's that fast paced that if you are bored, you are more likely to get anxious now because we've
Yeah.
lost that part.
I
Scary.
remember you said that to me when you were on my show. My son, and ever since my son, I you go, oh, I'm bored. It's like, good.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not doing anything good. You're bored. Figuring it. And then, like, 20, 30 minutes later, he's up in his room playing Lego.
yeah,
And he's being creative or like whatever he's playing with his Lego, or he's doing something because I'm not letting him on his Switch, or he's not letting him watch TV. It's like, oh, I'm bored. I'm like, yeah, I love you being bored. Boredom is literally, and again, it's one of those things like I said earlier. You have to experience something so something can happen. So you experience a tough time in your life, and then amazing things can come from that. Boredom will eventually give you creativity to do other things and try new things, and just your brain start thinking differently, become more creative. So definitely a necessity. Like put 20 kids in a room and just don't let them do anything for 3 hours. I'm sure they'll start doing something.
Yeah, they'll end up doing something, and it'll tend to be creative as well, which is great, which is what we need. Now, you mentioned AI, because I actually like AI, but as with social media, it's got a downfall as well. And I think the phones and AI and things like that, adults struggle with delayed gratification. Children seem a lot worse with delayed instant gratification. That's come from, I do believe our generation is responsible for that. You
Yeah,
can see people pushing kids around in pushchairs, and if they're bored and they start crying instantly, the iPad is passed over.
yeah.
That's very damaging for anybody, and I think for teenagers starting off with that mindset is very damaging. So, with your goal setting, is that helping the instant and delayed gratification?
Well, that's what I try to delayed gratification is one of the big things that I talk about on a regular basis because, and again, I get to use strength training because me, I want to do a pull up. How many can you do? I don't have any. It's going to take about maybe between 3 to 6 months to get you there. You turn up every day, it's delayed, but they don't see that delayed gratification as the same as your you'll get your iPad in a week or
Yeah,
2 weeks from now. They don't see that. So it's a different, I find that hard because it's that whole thing is that, by the way, like, oh, this year's flown in. For a kid, it hasn't. But as the years go on, the years seem to get faster. They're not getting faster. We just have more years behind us
yeah,
than we have ahead of us. And that's why it always feels like faster. But it's because we have more time behind us that now it feels faster. For kids, they have so few and don't remember the time behind them.
mm,
So they're feeling like they feel like forever. Things take forever. So like my son, for example, and I think I said this before. I'm not sure if I said it to you. Is he got over a year ago? He got his iPad taken off him for he did something. He sent something rude to his mother. And the deal was you read two books and you get. And he read one book and he wouldn't read another book.
mm,
And it's all that thing. It's like, oh, would you not give it back to him? I was like, oh, he has, like we said, a deal. If you want, and if he wants the iPad, and I said it to him. I said, you know that iPad's still sitting in my office, and like, I might just give it to your sister because you clearly don't want an iPad. And he was like, oh, no, I said, well, it's important enough because you're not willing to do the delayed gratification. If you read that book, you will have. So it's not important. It's taken over a year. So a lot
yeah,
of the things that kids do and want with delayed, I don't know if I've gone off a little bit on delayed gratification, they don't really want, but it's because it's so trained to have it and not used to. Because if I took it away and I gave them an alternative to get it back that they didn't like, happy enough to leave it.
yeah,
So I think it's a thing is like, well, if I'm so used to getting it, and I know if I annoy my parents enough, I will get it. Then I don't think they've had to experience like we only got really good toys once a year,
yeah, yeah,
Christmas and Day,
yeah, yeah,
and I'll put my hand up. My kids get toys, and because I can afford to buy them, like whenever I really want to buy them for them. But if I just want to be super cool dad, well, let's go buy something. Yeah,
yeah,
and so they don't have that. It was a Christmas, and then it was March.
yeah,
And 2 times a year, I knew I could expect something really nice. And
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
be very, very lucky to get anything in between. And I think kids a lot now, like I said, I'll put my hand up by my fault as well. Try not to. I try to do experiences more than things. Yeah, I'll indulge my children a little bit more. Then they probably need to be indulged and creates that environment. Then I'm having to argue with about trying to teach them that you don't need it now. You can need it. It's later. And but I don't know if I answered your question, but delayed
you did,
gratification
yeah,
is um, and we do bring it up a lot with our teens.
yeah,
But I can't honestly say that they're all getting it. I just think it's one of those things we have to kind of reassert on a regular basis that it's okay. It's okay, you don't want
Yeah.
and it's okay. It just takes time.
Yeah, one of my, I think I mentioned it on your podcast actually. One of my favourite kind of experiments that I love reading about. There's a whole book on it, the marshmallow test.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible results, and it makes me smile because it was such a simple experiment with the bloody marshmallow, and then
Yeah.
the longest running experiment that they've ever done. But the results from it, from the kids that had the delayed gratification, just like absolutely amazing like results later on in life. So
Yeah.
it just shows you that if you taught that at a young age, the difference it can make to your life.
Yeah.
Like that waiting, they were less likely to be drug addicts or alcoholics. They all had successful jobs and they were all happily married, where the ones that had took the marshmallow before ended up not so good. And it was just, like I say, it's the most simple experiment with the most
And like even with that,
results.
like we know that if we give kids chores, we make them do chores, we make them, and it's not for pocket money.
Yeah.
Put the bins out. It's your job. You have to vacuum the house. That's your job. You have to make sure the washing is whatever. If they're old enough, you have to do your own washing. They will be more self-sufficient, and they'll be able to handle an awful lot more than, hey, I'm moving in the house. I don't know how to turn on a washing machine. All those little things, like the role of a parent is to prepare a child to survive on the planet.
Mm,
It's not to protect them. Obviously, protect them from, well, big things. But realistically, it's about letting them, giving them hardships. Like, I don't want to do washing. I don't want to do any of that stuff. No one do. I don't know anyone like. Yeah, I love when my house is clean or my office is clean. At the same time, I don't want to have to ever do any of that, but I do it because it's needed, and I think that's like that alongside like the delayed gratification, like that marshmallow thing. I did that with my son. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure he failed. Because I was like, you can have this now, or you can have, if you wait 5 minutes, you can have two of them. And I just went, I think he's like, yeah, because I'm going to get it now. Because they just haven't registered that properly yet. Yeah, but it's a trainable trait. It's something like I think it's something that you can train.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, definitely.
some kids naturally would have that. They'll have that the logic in their brain to go, I'm going to get 5 minutes. It's not a trick, okay? And they play the game. Um, but yeah, like that's probably that's the best test, I suppose. I love that. When you told me that, I because I remember you saying it, I love that because it's so true, and you can tell a lot about a personality at that age. Like I bet you, if the time gap was enough,
Mm,
I bet you a lot of adults still failed that test.
yeah, I think it depends whether you like marshmallows or not.
How hungry are you? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, science does some very strange experiments where children are involved, and one sticks out to me. That's when I heard about it, I was thinking, God, that can't be legal, surely. But basically, they'd lined. I can't remember how old these kids are. I think they were like early teens,
Mm.
if not younger, and they'd basically lined them up in a row, and they'd got like wires attached to them. This was all fake, by the way, but the kids didn't realise at the time. This chap was standing there, and they'd purposely dressed him as a scientist, white coat, glasses, so he looked very like full of authority.
Yeah.
They did that for a reason. And they said, right, if you press the person next to you, you've got to press the person next to you, but if that happens, they'll get an electric shock. So the kids that didn't kind of press it and went, oh no, I can't give them an electric shock, had a lot more compassion for people that grew up to be quite well rounded. But they did actually have kids that pressed the person next to them. And then these kids were actually actors and pretended to allow electric shock. So I'm surprised it didn't give them PTSD to start off with.
Yeah.
They killed somebody.
See that?
But yeah, but they grew up to be, so it wasn't all bad. Some of them grew up to be risk takers in a negative way, but some of them actually grew up to be very successful because they did take risks.
Yes.
I was like, that's a bit inhumane though, doing it like
It's slightly, slightly, yeah. Again, it's we only know this stuff by testing it, and
Yeah.
maybe the test was a bit much at the time, or at the time it was okay to do because they didn't think anything of it. But again, we now understand more about delayed gratification and more about different personalities and compulsion
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of all the stuff, and it allows like you and me and people that are trying to impact more people to understand the different like attachments. I know Nikki Edwards would be someone that talks about attachments a lot, the different attachment styles, and when two different attachment personalities clash,
yeah,
and how it all falls out, and literally understanding all that, then you can weave your way through different situations, understand things, and be able to process. I think process better. But we don't know all this because of all the things that have been done, whether they were safe or not safe to do, or good or not
yeah,
to
yeah,
do. Promise all the lessons, and we're able to now discuss them and see right if the person's more compassionate, the person is more of a risk taker. But again, I do believe that a lot of people can be kind of trained to
yeah,
have more compassion. Some people,
yes,
obviously, unless you're like a psychopath or something. But I think what we do is we ask the questions, we ask the whys to like, well, how do you think that would make someone feel by doing that? Or how do you think, like, if you took that risk, what's the best thing that could happen? Oh, it could be successful. It could be live the dream I always dreamed, but I'm too nervous not to do it. Um, all those different things that we can do. I know that I would not be able to ask those questions like 10 years ago. I would just lift weights and go for a run, eat, go to bed early and get off your phone. I wouldn't be able to kind of figure out why they're struggling or why they're having those thoughts and the different personality types. So I'd just be like, it's a blank canvas. We go straight in.
yeah,
Everyone does what I say and we'll get results versus now can totally understand, right? We need the different approach here. We need to be harder here. We need to make them understand it here. I think that stands to me so I can help more people. But yeah, all those tests are just it's all just part of it. Like, and
yeah,
it's not a copy. It's not like, oh, well, it depends. I would use the tester all the time when it comes to fitness. Like, what should I do? It depends. All the more information we have, we can help different people and we can understand their situation more. And it just, yeah, it's a constant learning curve. Like what I like, I'm sure you're the same. Like what I knew last year to what I know now, it's
yeah, yeah,
another level. And what I hope to know in the next 5, 10 years is a whole new level. God, I can't believe I was saying what I was saying then.
yeah,
How to do it better now, and as even as a fitness coach and a strength coach, I used to teach, and I wasn't trying to do any harm. I was doing my damnedest to be the best I could be. Knowing what I know now, it's like I didn't like I was helping people, but I was like the surface level helping, and
yeah,
now
yeah,
we're really making an impact and change. And like you know, like this from like obviously what you do and like the brain and how the brain operates and the hormones that affect it and all that stuff. So the different stimuluses that we can give people to help them, yeah, just live better, live an more authentic and life that they want to live. I think is the kind of goal
yeah.
versus the 9 to 5 ways that most people end up in and never really are happy because of it.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? It's all about finding the authentic you without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. So where can people find you if they like, right, want my teenager in with Stephen? Where can
So
I find you?
as of now, it's just my Instagram, Stephen Kinsella, is where I am. I have a YouTube account. There's some random stuff on there, so but we're trying to build out our kind of the edge. So we're releasing some new stuff in
Hmm.
December.
Yeah,
It's an ebook on the edge. It's nine lessons. It gives kids questions. It gives
Mhm.
them activities to follow and then how to follow up on them. So there'll be a free ebook that we're releasing in December for anyone, any parent who wants, for teenagers, for kids. It's for both. It's for parents, even if you want to do parents. I found
Yeah, yeah,
reading a lot of youth books has helped educate me on how to be better. So it definitely will help everyone. And then, yeah, the course is due to go live in January, where we do like an 8 week course with kids and teens, like on a weekly basis. We'll have different topics to work on, a lot of Q&As. Pretty much it is based off like just getting them to be open and literally trying to help kids get the edge on what they want to be versus just we to get to the next level, like what's the edge? What do you need to do? And for most of them, it's asking questions and then taking answers. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Instagram again. My answers always end up into this random, like
I
Amy Donald
love it.
Trump stuff. But yeah, yeah, Instagram. You find me.
I love that. I've got one last question for you. Everybody struggles with this one. It's the hardest question I've asked you.
Okay,
Stephen, tell me 3 good things about yourself.
okay. I'm overly passionate about helping people.
Yeah.
That's one. I'm willing to understand that I'm flawed and that I've made more mistakes in my life.
Hmm.
3 good things. It's 3 good things about what three? It's 3 good things.
Yeah, yeah, 3 good things. It's a hard one, isn't it?
It is. I believe that I'm going to impact a generation of kids.
Yes. Fantastic. I certainly believe you are. And I honestly believe that teenagers would definitely benefit from what you do. Thankfully, I don't know whether I said it on your podcast before, but they are now measuring IQ in with EQ, which is emotional resilience. After all these years, they are measuring EQ alongside IQ, because let's be honest, you can be the cleverest person at school, but one thing goes wrong and you just fall to
Well,
pieces.
I think learning about your emotions is probably one of the best things we should be doing
Yeah,
because then learning to understand that they can be not like suppress them but control them and understand that you have to use them for your advantage and how to process them so you can move on to do better things.
yeah. So yeah, you teaching teenagers how to be more mentally resilient and overcome challenges is going to be it's worth its weight in gold without a shadow of a doubt, to make a generation that's more stable.
Yes, yes. I think we need a good generation.
We
You,
do.
you,
Yes. Thank you for being such an amazing guest. I've absolutely loved that episode and I love hearing about what you're doing. So thank you.
thank you. I love being on the show.
Thank